Hello everyone, welcome to The Green Man. Hope you're all doing good and well. So it's time for a Friday album review, and this Friday I'm reviewing the 15th studio album from German thrash metal legends Kreator, and their album Hate Über Alles, released today via Nuclear Blast, and the album is 11 tracks. It's 46 minutes in length. And this album is probably one of the most highly anticipated of the year, I feel, certainly of June 2022. This is one of the big releases of the month. And it's had quite a lot of hype surrounding it. There's quite a lot of anticipation I've sensed for this album. And I myself, a pretty big fan. I really did quite enjoy Gods of Violence from a few years ago. Actually, it featured recently in my top 20 albums of 2017 list, which you can go and check out. I'll, either post a link in the description or put a link up in the video. And that was, really a pretty strong album. So I went into this relatively high expectations. Must admit, I've heard some mixed, feelings about from, it being really ordinary to it being, really strong and really great. So wasn't sure. And I think maybe I'm somewhere in between. I don't think this is necessarily a thrash masterpiece as such, but it does have stuff that's quite good fun, and I think most thrash fans would probably enjoy. And there are things, there are kind of a few gems here and there, and good moments in this album to take away from the kind of final products. So let's dig into some of the tracks on this. And actually, before I do, the lineup of Kreator, it's four band members in the current lineup. You've got Milan Petrozza, lead vocals, rhythm guitar, of course, Jürgen Ryl on drums, Sami Yilsimyo, lead guitar and backing vocals. My pronunciation's not going to be great here, I apologise. Frederick Leclerc is on bass, also does some backing vocals as well. So let's go through these tracks a bit more. So you start off with a kind of instrumental classical sounding introduction before you lead into Hate Über Alles, the title track. Which, whilst I quite liked this track, certainly on the album, it's got the right kind of, it's a bit of a blast to begin the album with. But that chorus, to me, I didn't find it very imaginative. I know it was kind of classic thrash sounding chorus, repeating, that Hate Über Alles 3 times and then changing it a little for the 4th line of the chorus. But that to me just is so familiar to me as a kind of thrash metal chorus. It just sounds too typical. And some people will adore that track. They'll think it's the best thing ever. But for me, Hate Über Alles was just a touch on the kind of predictable sides, if I can say that without kind of getting hammered. Honestly, that's just how I felt about Hate Über Alles. Killer of Jesus was quite good, with some excellent soloing. Something Kreator do really well is the overlaying of their solos. I think a lot of their rhythms is always pretty spectacular to listen to. Crush the Tyrants, more impressive solos and breakdowns on this track. Really like the part where he sings Crush the Tyrants at the end of the track. A nice change. A little bit of an issue again with the chorus of this one, just feeling very familiar, but again, a pretty good track for me. Now, where the album started, I thought, to get better, almost want to say better and better, was from Strongest to the Strong. Really good, slightly melodic, pretty very catchy track, but really enjoyable. And I started to think, I'm going to get into the album much more from this track onwards, and I did. Become Immortal, Conquer and Destroy, Midnight Sun, Demonic Future. For me, all the sort of, this is where the album really came into its own and really got better for me. So I loved Become Immortal. I think I really liked that. You had a bit of a kind of Bruce Dickinson style vocal section, like the Fear of the Dark. It reminds me a bit of Fear of the Dark. Just towards the end there. Conquer and Destroy was fantastic. I just thought that carried on, the strong form the last couple of tracks had. Midnight Sun I really liked as well. I'm debating whether that or Conquer and Destroy is my favourite on the album at the moment, but Midnight Sun, I was wondering if it was actually, there was some female vocals featuring in there's backing vocals here, but I'm not sure if it really was female vocals. So I'm happy for someone to drop in the comments what that arrangement was in Midnight Sun, but I loved it. I thought it was a great track, one of the standouts for me, maybe on the album. Was doing something a little different, so that track might not actually be for everyone, but for me, I like a bit of kind of new things to be thrown in sometimes to the mix, so I really liked Midnight Sun a lot, personally. Demonic Future, as I said, was one I liked. The last 2 tracks were pretty good. I mean, I thought Dying Planet was an interesting track, to say the least. I haven't made up my mind about it really yet, whether I love it or I don't really like it much at all. I'm sort of like, I can't make up my mind about the closing track, but I did think it had some good progressions, but it got kind of weird as it got towards the end of the track, and so I haven't really made up my mind about whether or not I really like the closing track on the album as well. Overall, for me, a little bit of a mixed bag. I think the album for me doesn't start off the way I really wanted it to, and I know there's going to be people out there that enjoyed the start of this album a lot, I'm sure, but for me, it wasn't quite to my sort of taste. I enjoyed it when they took that sort of slight turn towards the slight Iron Maiden-y kind of side of the album. I call it Iron Maiden-y, Iron Maiden-ish part of the middle of the album. So that little turn was where I really started to like Hate Über Alles as an album. So I'm left to give this one, I still think I liked it overall. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Like I say, the start of the album for me wasn't so much for me, but the rest of it, pretty solid. And I still recommend, probably one that thrash metal fans, most thrash fans, will probably enjoy. So thanks very much for checking out this album review as always. Next on the channel is probably going to be Sunday's video, the album that series, continuing this time with the album that gave me the best nap ever. So don't sleep on that one. Well, sorry about that. That was terrible. But anyway, I hope you do stick around maybe for that video. That's going to be on Sunday evening at 8 o'clock local time in the UK. So join me for that if you fancy it. But otherwise, take care everybody. Bye for now.